Recently, Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of Chechen state and the most faithful of Putin, warned Ukrainian soldiers to bring white cloth with them, because this is what that will help them to surrender in front of Kadirovites, as they are not going to show any kind of mercy on Zelensky's minions. This statement tells that Chechen fighters are so tough and Ukrainian troops should get ready to bear heavy consequences. It's unclear whether Kadirov's claims are accurate or not, but his statement is likely to raise tensions between Russia and Ukraine even further. So who are Chechen forces? How much complex is the relation between Chechnya and Russia, and what makes them different from other special forces of Russia? If you are new on my channel, make sure to subscribe, like and share this video in your circle. You must be puzzled that who are actually Kadirovites, Kadirovцы and Chechen fighters. Well, these are all names for a single group of the 141st Special Motorized Regiment of Russia that consist of almost 12,000 ethnic Chechen men under the control of Ramzan Kadyrov. Ramzan Kadyrov is the current head of the Chechen Republic, a federal subject of Russia. Kadirov has a controversial reputation for his authoritarian leadership style, which includes suppressing opposition and maintaining close ties with the Kremlin. He has also been accused of human rights violations and supporting insurgent groups in neighboring regions. In the recent years, there have been reports of Chechen fighters being recruited to fight on various fronts, including in Syria and Ukraine. Kadirov himself has been vocal in his support for Russian involvement in the conflict in eastern Ukraine, where Russian-backed separatists have been fighting Ukrainian government forces since 2014. Are the Chechen fighters really as good as Kadirov says they are? To find out, we are going to look at the history of the Chechen Republic and their relationship with Russia. Let's dig deeper in the history of Chechnya to understand the significance of their forces in the Russian military. So after the Soviet Union broke up in 1991, Chechnya was among the republics that declared independence from Russia under the leadership of Zohar Dudayev. But Russia didn't like that and supported Chechen proxies against Dudayev, leading to a series of coups between 1992 and 1994. However, Dudayev managed to come out on top, and this set the stage of the First Chechen War in 1994, which marked the beginning of a long-standing conflict between Chechen separatists and the Russian government. To really understand the role of Chechnya's forces in the Russian military, we need to look at the complex history of Chechnya. After Dudayev's anti-Russian politics, the Kremlin orchestrated a coup and war against Chechnya in 1994, which eventually led to Dudayev's death in 1997. A peace treaty was signed between Russia and Chechnya, which was seen by many as a de facto recognition of Chechnya's independence. However, Chechnya soon became harder to govern, and its warlords became more closely aligned with extreme insurgency, leading to cross-border incursions into Dagestan and a series of apartment bombings in Moscow in 1999. This played into the Kremlin's narrative that Chechnya posed a threat to all of Russia, and Vladimir Putin launched the Second Chechen War in late 1999. During this period, Ahmed Kadyrov, who had opposed the Russian forces in 1994, and his son Ramzan Kadyrov pledged allegiance to the Kremlin and Putin. By 2003, they had formed a significant faction of militias known as the Kadirovцы or Kadirovites. Ahmed Kadyrov was appointed the president of Chechnya, and the Kadirovцы became a key part of the Russian military. So knowing all of this history is really important to understand the origins of Chechen separatism and the ongoing tensions between Chechnya and Russia, as well as the role of Chechen forces within the Russian military. How much complex is the relationship between Chechnya and Russia? The relationship between Chechnya and Russia has been strained for decades, with the region seeking greater autonomy or even independence from Russia. The First Chechen War from 1994 to 1996 was a bloody conflict that resulted in tens of thousands of casualties and ultimately led to a fragile peace agreement. However, this peace was short-lived and a second war broke out in 1999, lasting until 2009 with Russian forces fighting against Chechen separatists. During this time, the Russian army didn't trust Chechnya to provide troops, as they were concerned about their loyalty to the Russian state. Instead, Chechens were only allowed to fight in units loyal to Kadirov, which raised concerns about potential conflicts within the military. However, in 2014, Chechens were formally allowed back into the Russian army, which led to the series of scandals as they mixed with personnel from the rest of Russia and encountered other nationalities. Kadirov's position and wealth are heavily dependent on Putin's goodwill, and he has shown his loyalty to Putin by cracking down on dissent and maintaining a tight grip on power in Chechnya. However, there are concerns that his dependence on Putin may lead to conflicts within the region if his loyalty is called into question. Chechen forces have been heavily involved in Russia's military campaigns, not only in Chechnya but also in other parts of the world including Ukraine. While they have proven to be effective in combat, particularly in finding the seams between Ukrainian units and directing their efforts there, they have also been accused of carrying out crimes against humanity, such as the collective punishment of Ukrainian citizens. Despite their capabilities, their involvement in conflicts has raised concerns about the future of the region and the Kremlin's long-term plan for the area. The Kremlin's reliance on Chechen forces may have serious long-term implications for the relationship between Russia and its neighbors, particularly if these forces continue to be involved in conflicts that violate human rights and destabilize the region. In conclusion, the complex relationship between Chechnya and Russia remains an ongoing challenge, with the role of the Chechen forces adding an additional layer of complexity. While these forces have proven to be valuable to the Russian military, their involvement in conflicts has raised serious concerns about human rights abuses and the stability of the region. As tensions continue to simmer in the region, it remains to be seen how the Kremlin will manage this delicate balancing act between control and cooperation. What makes Kadirov different from other Russian forces? It is worth noting that the Chechen forces are not just a military force but also a political one. Kadirov and his forces has been instrumental in establishing a pro-Russian government in Chechnya and suppressing any separatist movements. Kadirov himself has been accused of numerous human rights abuses, including torture and extrajudicial killings, which he has denied so far. The Chechen forces have also been used to further Russian interests beyond Chechnya, such as in Syria, where they have fought alongside Russian forces in support of the Assad's regime. This further highlights their value to the Kremlin as a force that can be deployed outside of Chechnya when needed. The most special things about Kadirov and his forces is their loyalty to Putin. As the leader of the Chechen forces, Kadirov is dependent on Putin's support for his position and wealth. This makes Kadirov a uniquely compliant leader within Russia who is constantly willing to prove his worth to Putin. As a result, his forces can be reliably sent to complete tasks that may be considered unsavory or politically sensitive, such as the assassination of opposition figures like Nemtsov or the collective punishment of Ukrainian citizens. Another reason that the Chechen forces are valuable to the Kremlin is that they allow for some measure of control over Chechnya, without having to send Russian soldiers back into the region. This is important because of the history of conflict between Russia and Chechnya, which has included true brutal wars in the past 3 decades. By allowing Kadirov to maintain some level of control over the region with his forces, the Kremlin can avoid the political and military risks associated with sending the Russian troops. Overall, while the Chechen forces led by Kadirov may not be the most capable or well-equipped forces within the Russian military, but they are still a unique and valuable component due to the Kadirov's loyalty and their role in maintaining control over Chechnya. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and of course don't forget to subscribe so you never miss it when we upload a new video. You can drop your recommendations and comment of what you wanna see us make in the next video. On that note, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.